Welcome in, everyone, to the State 48 podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Matthews, bringing you all things AZ, and I literally could not think of a more perfect guest for everything that we really stand for here at State 48. We have Cynthia Sassi here, the founder and president of Fabulous Media Group, and I'm so excited for you to join us today and get to know you a little better. I've known you for a little bit of time, quite some time, but not fully in depth, so I'm excited for this time together.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yes. Okay, so we start this episode and every episode with a little game. A fun game. Okay, so listen up a little bit, just get to know you. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and whatever comes first to mind.
Okay.
Say it. All right, my dream job growing up was?
I wanted to be a teacher.
Really?
Yeah.
Lots of patience.
Yes. I don't really recall why, but I was always like, I wanted to teach. And so I remember I used to make my neighborhood, like the kids in my neighborhood, like do class with me. And they're like, we don't want to do this.
They're like, I'm not going over to Cynthia's house.
Yeah, they're like, this is my time out of school. I don't want to pretend like I'm back in school.
Oh my God,
but yeah, I loved teaching. So
I think when we're little, we all kind of like play teacher for a little bit
Yeah.
and then realize, well, for me, I don't got the patience.
Right.
God bless my teachers.
God bless the teachers, for sure.
Love
Yeah.
them. It's a special,
Yeah.
DNA there. Favorite staycation getaway here in Arizona?
Oh gosh, there are so many good ones. Omni Mata Lucia is one of my favorites, and Mountain Shadows. And I think it's because they're like at the base of the Camelback Mountains. So it's just so pretty and you feel like you're kind of like tucked away from the city.
Mm-hmm.
Like you feel like you've actually like have left the city a little bit.
I've been to some weddings there and they're just unreal,
Yeah.
gorgeous. The backdrop of Camelback is
So pretty.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you've hiked it many times.
Yes.
That used to be my jam. Not anymore. This body, nope. Not happening. My ideal day looks like?
I love starting my mornings early.
What time early?
I'm like a 5 a.m.er.
It's so
Yeah.
funny. Basically every guest, I feel like I ask them what time they wake up, and I'm always shook. I'm like,
Yeah.
4:30, really?
Yeah.
Like 5.
Everybody's different. I personally love like that quiet time before everyone starts their day. And so I just love soaking up that like quiet time for the sun's even up. And I love to walk my dogs and get that time with them. Several coffees would probably be involved in my perfect day. I'm a big coffee fan. And honestly, I love working. I really do. So like I work almost 7 days a week because I love my work. But I love just being outside, nature. So, relaxing on a patio somewhere would probably be part of a perfect day.
Sounds ideal for
Yeah.
sure. Now, were you always a morning person, or did you have to train yourself to like get there?
I don't know. I feel like I've had to be a morning person for so long that it's kind of built into me. But I feel like some people are morning people.
Yeah.
But I was in marching band in high school. Fun fact.
No, you weren't.
Yeah,
I love it.
and we had to do marching band practice before school started.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to be on the field at 6:30 in the morning. So we had to be like at school at 6:15, on the field by 6:30. So I was like did that for 4 years and had to figure out, okay, I'm an early morning
Y'all
person.
woke me up. I lived literally right behind.
Oh my gosh,
growing
yes.
up.
You can hear them like that sound travels for sure.
And fun fact, I was a part of, I guess, marching band. I was a dance team at ASU, and I didn't know that, but they're like, hey, we have band camp. It's starting, this day. And I was like, wait, I get to go to band camp? What is it? It was the best experience ever.
Yeah, I did flag line too. And so I got to kind of experience all the different areas of it. It was fun.
At that.
Really?
How did you manage that?
Oh, I thought it was so fun.
I got lost in the flag, and I'm a dancer, and I'm like, there was some flags one performance, and I'm like, no, never again. I'll never forget that.
Definitely took some time to get used to, but it was fun.
So fun facts. I was going to ask you, what is something that most people don't know about you? Is it the band camp?
Band. I like to feel like I'm very well-rounded because I did like marching band and then I was also a cheerleader.
Okay.
So during football season, I would cheer and then at halftime go march with the marching band in my cheer uniform and then go back and cheer for the second half of the game.
Wow.
So so I've always been kind of an over busy person.
Yes, and to do what you do, I can see the bloodline there. So what instrument did you play?
I played clarinet.
Okay.
And funny enough, I think it's not even that I wanted to play clarinet. It was one of those things where in 5th grade, it was like, what instruments are left from the school supply? And it was like, and I think I wanted to do flute. because my older sister did flute, and I was like, oh, I want to do flute, but there were no more flutes left, so I got stuck with clarinet.
Oh my gosh.
I tried learning trumpet and like all of the like brass instruments, and I just couldn't figure out like the mouth thing, because you have to like, I don't know, you do the different notes with like, you have to move your mouth a certain way to get certain notes and octaves, and I was like, I couldn't figure it out.
Do you still play, or can you still play? Someone
no.
like, if we had a clarinet here?
No. I highly doubt that. But yeah, I haven't touched one since high school, and we won't talk about how long ago that was.
I love it. If I was in a talent show today, what would you be performing?
Oh my goodness. Well, I would like to think that I could still get on the piano.
You're just like multi-talented over here.
I used to love the piano, and it's something that's like on my list of things to buy for my house is to get a piano. It doesn't even have to be a grand one. I definitely don't have room for a grand one right now, but goals someday. But I was like, even like one of those smaller ones to have at the house to just, keep up on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved doing that. That piano was one of my favorites, especially Christmas music.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I'm like, that just totally gave me a flashback. One of my favorite Christmas presents was a keyboard.
Yeah. I had a keyboard when I was a kid. So
and I thought I was going to like jam out, learn. Yeah. Nope. My fingers are too, like, I cannot stretch all the different keys.
Yeah,
so I would be like,
it is a stretch for sure.
It's a little extra work for me.
Yeah.
So we have lots to talk about because, like I said when we were starting this episode, it's like you have been in this game for so long and really putting Arizona on the map in so many different ways. I feel personally like you were the first influencer before like influencers
before it was a thing.
Really, truly.
Yeah,
I remember meeting you back. I think that was, it had to be 2014.
Mm-hmm.
It was Date for the Cause.
Yeah.
It's a little backstory on that. We basically were up for auction for the children. Okay?
For the children.
So people could bid a date with one of us, and the money would go towards a great cause and foundation, obviously.
We raised a lot of money doing that, and it was fun.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. I was just like, at the time yes, my husband was my boyfriend at the time, but he was like, wait, what did you sign up for? Like, you're going to go on a date with who? When, where? I was like, it is for the children. But no, it was such a fun event. That's when I first ran into you back then. And I remember you were doing so much already here in the Valley that I think really, like, you were ahead of times when I think back on it. So what really started your career in the media sector and highlighting Arizona?
Well, I'm going to date myself here, but I graduated college in 2007. And so this was pre-Instagram. Facebook was really new still. And you couldn't, as a business, be on Facebook. So it was still just, like the college kids on Facebook sort of thing. Yeah. And MySpace is all the jam. And I had to take an internship my senior year at ASU. And I just like went through the, job board trying to find something and ended up with this company called sheknows.com. And they are like a women's magazine, and they had like just a collection of just different women's digital magazines, and so it was all online. And I was like, okay, it pays $10 an hour and it'll give me class credit. And $10 an hour back then on top of class credit, I was like, I'm winning here. I'm going to take this. So I took that thinking it was just going to be 3-4 months for class credit, and that was it. And I ended up falling in love with digital publishing because I am kind of like, I love consumer behavior, I have an analytical mind, and I loved how much data you could gather through digital as opposed to like print. You don't know what articles people are reading in that magazine or, what ads have influenced them. Whereas online, I could see how many page views a certain article was getting. I could see how many clicks an ad was getting. And so that to me was fascinating because I was like, oh, we should do more articles like that because people like that. Or, this type of ad performed really well. Let's apply that to other things. So I found the digital realm to be really fascinating and thankfully got in, really early. And from there, I moved on to a local magazine here and helped them kind of make their transition from print to web. And this was back in like 2008 when the economy wasn't doing well. And a lot of the big, print advertisers were pulling out because they just couldn't afford it anymore. And so by transitioning to online, we were able to offer lower cost options for advertising online. And through doing that, I got to start meeting local business owners, and I really fell in love with like the local like magazine aspect, as opposed to prior to that, I was at a national magazine and it was working with like Target and Old Navy and like, you know, all these big national brands. But when you work with the local brands, you get to meet the business owner, hear their stories. It's just so much more impactful. And you feel like you're really making a difference in someone's life by helping spread the word about their business. You know, typically that's their dream to do whatever it is that they're doing. And you get to help play a part in that.
Wow. Yeah, you really were ahead of time. Seriously, when I think back, 'cause I went to journalism school. And so I started my journey in 2008. But that's when you really saw a shift from physical newspaper to online. Go get a Twitter handle or go on, you know, Facebook and write out a blog post or something of that sort. So things just started shifting. And now, if you look back from then to now, how much has it changed in a way that
and it still changes. Yeah. I mean, it's constantly changing, and that's what's crazy about, you know, being in the digital marketing space and being in social media is it's just always changing, and you have to stay on top of things.
Yes. So how do you manage it all is like my first question, because you manage a lot of social media handles is what I've come to find out.
Yeah. I have a few different businesses. And so, you know, we've got Fabulous Media Group, which is actually, we now have 6 different states, obviously Arizona being the first and biggest one. That launched in 2010. And then we have California, Washington, Nevada, which those all kind of, you know, West Coast play together very well. And then I'm originally from the Midwest. So we have Wisconsin and Iowa also.
I gotta get them in.
Yeah. So we have Instagram accounts obviously for every state. So, and they're also different. Obviously each state caters to something so different. Just like what makes Arizona so great, there's little things in each of those states that make them so great, and the little hidden gems and those things. So they all have very different personalities and, you know, things to cover in each state. And then I also have a marketing agency where we manage social media accounts. We have primarily restaurants in our portfolio, but we've kind of done a lot of different businesses. And so, yeah, I'm logged into a lot of Instagram accounts.
Wow.
And I think the biggest thing that I've learned, because I've been doing this for so long, you know, over a decade of kind of managing stuff like this, and time blocking and do not disturb are like my best friends.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine just wanting to be on your phone, answer something quickly, but then knowing, like, giving yourself that boundary and that space.
I think just realizing that not everything needs an answer right away. And I think even just with text messages, emails, we're so accessible these days, and it's hard to not feel like you have to respond immediately. And I've really had to work on realizing, like, it can wait. Like, it's not everything's that urgent. So
that is so true.
Just for your mental
so young. You started this so young, right? And so the mentality is like that hustle and bustle and get to it right away and answer that email. At what point did you have, like, not a breaking point, but just did you have a moment of like, I really need to slow things down just for mentally being able to take on all of this at once?
Yeah, I think COVID actually was really, it kind of forced everybody to slow down, right? And so that happening, because I was just go to the point that, like, I didn't even have a moment to catch my breath to even, like, think about what I was doing. And it was just constantly at events, meetings, you know, go all the time. And that really gave me an opportunity to pause and reflect on what I was doing. And okay, when things do come back, what do I want to be doing differently? And so it really, I loved, you know, of course, COVID was not a good thing for anybody, but I loved the opportunity for a bit of a reset that it offered, and a moment for reflection to maybe do things a little differently. So that kind of prompted me to reevaluate and make some changes. And I actually started hiring people in that time frame too, so that I wasn't doing everything by myself. So that definitely, delegation helps.
Yes, we all need to delegate. Yeah. It's so hard, I'm sure, when you started your business. What was your first business?
So Fabulous Arizona in 2010. Yeah.
Did it start as a passion that just kind of took over, or what was
so it kind of married, like, my passion for helping the local businesses, but then I took the knowledge that I, you know, gained from working with the national magazines, because I actually worked for 2 different national magazines, and kind of took all that knowledge that I got from that and married it with helping the local business owners. And that's why, you know, it's Fabulous Media Group. It's these localized magazines, but applying, like, the higher level principles to, you know, the monetization of it. Okay. So, but I did also do a couple of other side projects that are no longer in existence. Like, I had a celebrity gossip website for a little while, which I'm not even into celebrity gossip.
Tell us the tea.
I'm not even into celebrity gossip, but at that time, because this was back in like 2009, 2010, and at that time, celebrity gossip was a huge revenue generator because you could rank, if you could get something up on the website fast enough, it would rank so high in Google and you would just get so much traffic from it. So I was able to get like my celebrity gossip website up to over 100,000 views in like 6 months, just by being like super on top of like getting, you know, news up right away.
I need to know how you're getting this gossip. Like, are you still withholding information?
Like places like TMZ or somebody would, you know, come out with it first. And then as soon as you see that, like, you know, I would go and like reproduce what the story was for our magazine, and obviously citing the sources and where we got the information from. But we would have a, you know, stock photo subscription for celebrity images to grab quickly for that kind of stuff. But that about a year into me doing that, Google started deprioritizing these, you know, like these blogs and stuff that were getting all this traffic, and we could no longer compete with like the TMZs of the world. And so that kind of fell off, but it you know, served a purpose for a little while, but then I realized, okay, this is, you know, and that's the thing with digital marketing again, is things are constantly changing. And so, so once Google kind of started deprioritizing us, we weren't getting the kind of traffic we were before, and it wasn't worth the time and effort to put all that content up so quickly, and the amount of content that we had to go up. And so that ended up, you know, I kind of just let that go.
Wow. What a fun fact.
Yeah. But see, not all businesses are a success, and you have to kind of know when to let something go, right?
Yes. Tremendously, yes. Yeah. And then your second business, what was that?
So that was Fabulous Arizona. Okay. And I didn't know that it would be more than just Arizona. I had an idea that I might do, you know, make it into something else, and I'd always wanted it to be something bigger, but I just didn't know what that looked like. And then in 2019, I, you know, had bought Fabulous Wisconsin just because I was spending a lot of time out there with family, visiting them in the summers, and they were like, you need to do a Fabulous Wisconsin. And I was like, you know what? Let's give it a shot and see if this concept will work somewhere else. And I was like, I just didn't know if Fabulous Arizona was working because of all the contacts I had here, or if the concept itself was actually viable in other places. So I went ahead and launched it in, I believe it was like August 2019. And within a month of launching it, I literally had hardly anything on the site because it had just launched. But I was able to, you know, point to Fabulous Arizona, Instagram, and the website and say, this is what we're building. And everyone in Wisconsin was like, wanted to get involved. I had restaurants and hotels reaching out to me. I had writers reaching out wanting to work with me. And I was like, okay, I guess I have an idea here that actually works in other places. And especially what's interesting about the Midwest is they don't have the amount of competition for magazines or influencers that we have out here in Arizona or California. It's just a different kind of landscape. So it's kind of good and bad. The good being there's not a lot of competition. The bad being there's a big education process with working with businesses and educating them on, you know, what we are and what we do.
Okay, so Fabulous Media Group. What is the mission really behind that?
It's twofold. One is helping the business owners get the word out about their businesses. I'm really passionate about supporting local business owners and telling their stories.
Like Sabre?
Yes, I know. And that's the thing is like the local businesses, there's always like the person behind it usually has some story. They're very passionate, and it's something that I can relate to as a business owner myself. And so I think it's really neat to be able to tell those stories and get, you know, help maybe play a small part in their dream coming true of them, you know, having a successful business that they've always dreamed of. So getting the word out is, of course, you know, something that I love. And then also being that resource for the community and the consumers that they can find things that they're looking for to do in town, where to go, what to do.
Yes, that's the biggest thing. I remember when I first came to your page early in the day, it was like, everywhere you need to eat, everything you need to try. And I'm born and raised in Arizona. There's still so much I haven't done. And I like to have those types of pages. So how do you now compete with those Instagram only pages that are like, you know, the everything to do here and what to do here, and the restaurants, you know, the niche down, I would say, pages that are reflective on that? Yeah,
it's actually, it's more challenging for us because we're lifestyle and we're not very niche. So we're covering everything. And it's honestly harder to build when you're not more specific. So like if somebody's just covering food, people follow them for food, they can expect food, and that's, you know, they're going to have a very loyal food following. Whereas us, we're kind of all over the place. So some people follow us for some things, some people follow us for other things. So we get kind of more of a mixed bag. That being said, we are a media publication as opposed to an influencer or blogger. There's pros and cons to both. As an influencer and a blogger, they can make a very personalized recommendation and can be, you know, do something very in person. But with ours, we can, you know, kind of go a little more high level. We've got a whole team of people we can send to things. So we're able to cover things, you know, in a wider, broader range. So there's definitely pros and cons to both. And I think the influencer space is great. It's, you know, we work with a lot of influencers. We actually have some influencers as contributors for us. So we're able to kind of like support each other and cross promote each other. I think it's, you know, just great to be, you know, however these businesses can get the word out about their, you know, what they have going on and what they're doing. I think it's great to have all these different platforms and outlets.
At what point did you have to start outsourcing where you're like, this is getting bigger than what I can physically put my hands on in all areas of this business?
Yeah. When it came to just, you know, especially with the influence, as the influencer world has grown, there's so many invites to media, you know, menu tastings, events, all these different things.
Sign me up. I'll go.
Right. And in the beginning, I was like, this is so fun. I'd be at 3 different events every night of the week. Eventually you get burnout though. And it's just not as like fun as it used to be. And I feel like a brat complaining about that because I'm like, there's people that would love to do these things.
I mean, there's burnout with everything.
There is. And so I just started thinking, gosh, I should find people that like would really enjoy doing these things, because when I'm doing a lot of the same things year after year, and it's like, I've already been there, done that. I'm sure there's somebody fresher and newer that would love this opportunity and enjoy it more and actually be more grateful for it than me, because I'm kind of jaded because I've done it so much now. So I sort of kind of built, you know, that's where the contributors started. So I just kind of found people that were interested in, you know, wanting to go to some of these things and getting involved and, you know, getting to know the community a little more and getting to check out new restaurants and stuff like that. And so started getting some contributors in town that wanted to go check out different events and things, because I'm like, I'm one person and it's just too hard to be everywhere.
That's a lot of dinners to eat.
Well, and again, because we're lifestyle. So it was like, you know, fashion events, food events, like, you know, spas, resorts, you know, whatever it is, we were, you know, invited to everything. So it was just too much for me to try and handle on my own. And then in 2020, it was kind of like the stars aligned, and someone I had worked with previously back in 2008, she became available for hire in 2020. And I was like, kind of told her my vision for the fabulous brand. And at that point, I just had Arizona and Wisconsin. And I was like, this is what I'm looking to do. Do you want to join me on this journey? And she agreed, and she's been absolutely wonderful. So she's my editor-in-chief and manages all of the content on all 6 different states. She manages all of our contributors, and she's fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at what point, or where are you at now in this journey as far as like more so overseeing, because now you have multiple states, let alone just, you know, being here in Arizona and focusing on that, but now you have multiple states to serve. Yeah. So what is it like, what does a day look like for you?
Well, I'm still very hands-on on everything. I just don't do everything. So I still have my eyes on everything that's going on. So I oversee our social schedules, I oversee our newsletters, I oversee, you know, the editorial calendars, all that stuff. So I'm still looking at everything, approving a lot of stuff. But thankfully, you know, I've got a team that I really trust. And so I don't, you know, a lot of stuff I don't have to be quite as like hands-on with anymore. But we do have contributors in every single state. So I feel like it's really important to have what I call boots on the ground in each state, because they're all so different. And a lot of times, you know, something that we would promote in Arizona or California does not make sense in Wisconsin. Like, for example, one of our top articles in Wisconsin is like best farms to visit. And like, my gosh, so it's like, but it's like cool. Like that's, you know, that's something that's cool up there. So it's just knowing, you know, learning that. And we wouldn't, you know, as our core team is here in Arizona, we wouldn't know that without having those people that actually live there and, you know what people do and what they like. It's, you know, we have to have those people that know the environment. So we have, you know, for example, Wisconsin, they have Milwaukee and Madison are their 2 major cities. Right. So we've got got somebody, you know, contributor in each that can kind of, you know, cover a lot of that. So we usually have at least one contributor in each major market.
For you getting to this height and this level, did you anticipate this? I mean, you had the dream of it, but did it ever feel at one point like, wow, this is really something beyond that I even envisioned when you started Fabulous Arizona?
It is beyond what I envisioned. It's, of course you hope, but I think we're all so guilty of that doubt of like, well, that couldn't be me, you know? And we see other people do things that we think for some reason we couldn't do that. And especially in the industries that I started in, all of them were male dominated. And so every single magazine that I worked for prior to starting my own was all men running them, even though they were women's magazines.
Wow.
So I always, you know, kind of in the back of my head, as much as I wanted, you know, the female empowerment thing, I was always like, well, I'm not a man. I don't know if I could ever run one of these myself. And so that doubt was always kind of in the back of my head of, can I do this? And so, so it has been, I'm not going to lie and say that it hasn't been difficult, you know, just mentally to get into that mindset of, you know, I'm running a business and have scaled it and it's doing well.
Scaling really well.
Yeah.
What do you say can attribute to just that journey of like resilience in any business that you own? There's ups and downs. You always say it's like that roller coaster that you want to hop off and then you're like, oh, this is amazing. But what really could you attribute just to the hunger really and willingness that you need in this?
I think being genuinely passionate about what you're doing and like your why. So like if you really have like a strong why behind what you're doing and a strong passion for it and a belief for it, that it makes it easier to keep going. Like the celebrity gossip website, for example, I don't care about celebrity gossip.
What's your why?
So, yeah,
Does it make you cry?
So I'm like, you know, trash talking about some celebrities, you know, latest whatever is not fulfilling for me.
Not your jam.
So I was, you know, when that wasn't going well, I was happy to let that go. But with, you know, I see the impact that we can have with the, you know, Fabulous Media Group publications and even just my team, you know, them getting to do, you know, work that they love. And, you know, that's been really rewarding to, you know, employ people and give them jobs that they love to do and mentor them and watch them grow. Like that's been really rewarding. So, so I think, you know, if you're really passionate about what you're doing, it makes it a lot easier. Like I genuinely wake up in the morning excited to like work. And so I think that makes it a difference.
7 days a week, you're going to be plugged in at some point.
Pretty much. Yes, I do. I've gotten a lot better about like, I check out, I'm usually like a good 5 o'clock. I will shut down, big do not disturb fan on my phone once that time hits. I'm always kind of like, that can be handled tomorrow. I've gotten much better with that. I used to work until like midnight and, you know, burning the candle at both ends of the stick. And that just wasn't serving me. So I'm much better now about like making sure to, you know, take that time off. But I do enjoy like on the weekends, I might only do like a couple hours, but I still enjoy like starting my day with some work. It just makes me feel like more accomplished and organized.
I'm the same way. Would you say that your why has shifted a lot or in different ways throughout this journey?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, again, kind of bringing the team on. Now my why kind of is about them too. And, you know, that's shifted a little bit. And honestly, like as an entrepreneur, your business is going to constantly like change, pivot your, you know, the directions you're going. And there's always gonna be things that you need to do differently. So having that flexibility to change that. But I think at the end of the day, everything comes back to, I like helping people, whether that be, you know, my employees, the consumers, the, you know, businesses, whatever it is, it all kind of comes back to that one thing though.
I would say that's the difference between like purpose and the actual physical thing that you are living out that purpose with, which is your magazine. It's the complete different. People always say that or try to think of like, what do I want to do? What do I want to do with my degree or in life? And it's really skinny down to what your purpose is. And then you find avenues and titles and jobs that fulfill that in a sense. So what would you say is your future goals with this as you've seen it grow and you kind of had that moment of this is beyond even what I imagined? So what does that next step look like for you guys?
Well, I own all the domains for all the different states. So I hope to eventually sell the package of the Fabulous Media Group to probably a larger media company. I have no interest in trying to run 50 states, to be honest.
It's like, who are you adding next?
Yeah, so there's a couple of other states that we're considering right now, but the goal right now is to prove the concept, prove the profitability, and show that it's a viable model, and that if somebody wants to buy it, they already have all the other state domains and can implement that, because it took me years to get all the domains. Not all of them were available, and I had to do some negotiating, and there's actually one left. I believe it's Nebraska, that some overseas gambling company owns, and it doesn't want to give it up. So I don't know, but other than that, I own all of them, and yeah. So the goal is to just prove the concept, and hopefully eventually sell it.
Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah, just because I don't see a scenario where I don't work as much as I do as long as I'm involved in it. I care too much. I'm too involved, and I just would be I think at some point I do need to step back and maybe find other passions to work on.
I was gonna say, is there anything else that you've dreamt of to start? Because it's almost like you start one thing and you start envisioning, where this could go next or what else you can do. You're a proven business owner that you can withstand the storms of recession and pandemic and all of that and still be able to pivot. So what is something maybe on that bucket list for you?
I'm actually kind of working a little more on my personal brand and kind of focusing on hopefully doing some kind of coaching, auditing, that sort of thing. I have started doing some marketing audits for different businesses. So kind of just taking a look at the whole, everything that they're doing and finding, ways that they can improve, looking at ROI and where are they spending their money and what can be better and where can they get more out of what they're doing. So that's something that I love. And then just, helping other up and coming business owners. I feel like there was a lot, I didn't really have a mentor, in growing all of this. And there's so many things that I wish I knew and wish I had guidance in. And so I do feel like a lot of stuff you can only learn from experience, and that's just part of what you have to go through. And there's probably some things that someone could have told me 10 years ago that I would have not really, taken the advice and had to go through it myself. But there's also a lot of other things, like, for example, just basic stuff like putting processes and systems in place that I just wasn't aware of how important those things were then. Even if you're a one-man show, getting those processes and systems in place before you start building your team is going to save you so much time. And so those are things that I look back now that I'm like, gosh, I wish I would have done that so much longer ago.
But it's so true. It's like the things that you don't learn in business school or a marketing class, you have to actually go through, build it up, and learn from that. That's your biggest, learning curve in this.
Yeah. I mean, God bless ASU. Love,
education.
My education from ASU, but I did not learn anything.
Go Devils.
I did not learn anything from my marketing degree from there. I will say that.
Well, I mean, for me, when I look at business and entrepreneurship, it's so much of to fight. And you only build up that muscle to be able to endure the challenges, the days where you might not feel like doing anything and you still have a business to run.
Yeah.
That kind of mentality is not learned in the classroom.
No.
At all.
Sorry. No. And I think that's where mentors are great, and having somebody that you can kind of look up to and model that from. But again, I think that if you're not feeling motivated to work on whatever your business is, then maybe you're doing the wrong thing.
True. But I always say too, it's it's almost like going to the gym, right? You're not going to feel motivated every single day to wake up, go to the gym, get that workout in, but you need to do it.
Yep.
And motivation can only last you 10 minutes,
right?
You think of a motivational speech, you're feeling good, or a conference immersion that you spend all weekend, you're like, my life is going to change. And what happens if you don't have discipline and system and process and just a structure in place, then it's just going to fizzle out.
And there's always going to be pieces of the business that you have to do that you don't want to do. And that's
especially
just part
you
of life.
In the beginning, you were wearing so many hats.
Doing everything. And there's still stuff now that I do that I'm like, oh, I hate doing this.
I'm a president, but I'm here.
Exactly. Yes.
Someone's got to do it. And that's, I mean, it's such a mirror example too of State 48 and how everything has come to be at this point. But it started with 3 guys and a dream. And now, yes, we have a full staff, and we have so many moving parts, and gosh, this podcast and so many things. But it started with, 3 guys doing a lot of different work, and still to this day, like you see our CEO, you see Mike and Nick doing things that, you don't, it's not part of the title, but we got to get it done.
Yep.
And for you, in the future, what would you like to see as far as like the pivoting and like the immersion of where social media is really going with this thing? I mean, I feel in a sense for magazines, it's almost like a lost art sometimes, right? Like to do like the long form reading or have like a one space. Like I envision what your website is and what I see, because I've been to it many times. It's like, it just has everything widespread for you. But like you said, everything is changing too. And so how do you see you guys like pivoting with those changes, or what are the challenges that you face day to day with that?
Yeah, we're just constantly trying to find, okay, how do we've got different forms of content, kind of like you're saying, like we've got our long form articles, but then we also try and like break them into pieces, make them a little more digestible. Then when we put them onto social, we break them down even further and make them even more digestible. Yeah. And so just really trying to figure out like, how can we be the best resource for the readers? And then if it's an advertiser or something, or, for the businesses, how do we best get their message across? And so that's where my favorite part is, because I have a marketing background, is figuring out the messaging and how to best, put something together so that it's interesting to the readers, that it's, getting the message across and that sort of thing. So it requires a lot of creativity, really, and, a lot of thought. But things are constantly changing. I mean, obviously, like Reels weren't a thing a few years ago, and now we all have to do Reels.
And TikToks.
Yes. And, we have a newsletter. And so that's something that, is a different form of marketing as well, that we have to, that's going to be different than the social and the articles. And so everything's got to be tailored to, its medium, but it all serves a purpose and a different audience. And so it's just a matter of understanding each medium. And I think a mistake a lot of people make is they don't look, when they're putting this content together, they don't put themselves in the shoes of the consumer. And we're all consumers. Yeah. So whenever I'm putting together social content, I have to put myself in the shoes of myself, of when I'm scrolling Instagram, what do I want to see? What's going to make me stop? When I get an email in my inbox, what do I find interesting? What subject line is going to make me want to open that and read it? So I think doing something as simple as that is just putting, yourself in the consumer's shoes, which again, we all are consumers. It's kind of common sense stuff that you can apply to your marketing.
Yeah. It's like peeling a banana. It's like you have the full banana and then you're peeling one layer at a time, because like you said, every single medium has something different and serves a different audience. And gosh, the TikTok world versus Instagram, I mean, I can't even imagine.
And it's also different. And I think it's for a lot of business owners, it's really overwhelming.
It is.
And I don't think that you have to do everything. I think do what you can, and quality over quantity. So you do the best you can with what you got, and don't feel like you have to do everything.
That's a great piece of advice for people out there, because it's like widespread and then you're too thin. And it's like quantity over quality, like true, just quality thing. Like you guys do what you do really well, and why spread yourself thin just to fit into some type of mold. So you sound like you always are learning and trying to retain information as everything shifts. What are some of your favorite podcasts?
There's a podcast called the Social Media Marketing Talk Show, and it comes out weekly, and it's like a short one. It's usually like 20 minutes, and they literally just run through all the things that have changed in the last week on all the different social platforms, which that's how often things change, that they can come out with a podcast every week. But they go through everything, like literally YouTube, Snapchat, like all the platforms.
Snapchat, I haven't even.
Snapchat's still a thing. Can you believe that?
Still alive?
It is still a thing. So it's great because it's kind of like all the little updates and nuances, changes in algorithms, whatever, they will run through kind of all the updates and what to expect. And so it's kind of helps me stay on top of what's going on there.
Whenever a new app drops, social app, I'm like, what is it? Like Threads, I was on it for like a hot second. Do you utilize Threads?
I got on there, got all the, I was like, let's all get our handles just in case this goes somewhere.
Is it going anywhere? Can you give me
not going anywhere.
I'm like, am I missing something?
I forgot about it. Honestly, I haven't been on there in months.
Same. I'm like, hi, I'm here. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I was literally going to go on the other day and be like, is anybody still here? Like, is this thing on?
I think so, because I get updates and I'm like, I totally forgot about it. I'm like, who are you?
Well, and that's the thing. I don't feel like I was getting updates, and I feel like no one, like when I was on it, there weren't enough other people on it, so I would go on there and I wouldn't see anything to consume. So it was like, all right.
Like the algorithms are just
Well,
crazy.
I just don't think enough people were actually utilizing it.
Yeah,
so I think everybody got on there for like the first week and then forgot about it.
I think we all just need to like thank Uncle Tom from MySpace from just starting this whole world. Do you remember Tom?
Oh, I remember Tom.
His profile picture there, your top 8, good music in the background, and that's when life was simple. And now there's all these things. Can't handle it. Yeah. Well, whatever ways that we can support you and continue to do that here at State 48, we'd love to. You're obviously such a dear friend of ours, and you've been here really since the beginnings. You couldn't even remember when you first met Mike and how our worlds all collided.
I know. It was definitely the very infancy stages of State 48, so it's been really fun to watch them grow and build something so incredible.
Yes. Well, the way that you highlight AZ, that's what we're all about. So thank you so much for being on our show
Thank
today.
you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We'll see you guys next week.